Ahead on RPM tonight, we pay tribute to the late Adam Petty, a fourth-generation racer, heir to a glorious racing throne, a crown destined to be his, but one stolen by tragedy. His life was too short, but he lived that life to the full, and for that, we can be thankful. And for that, we can celebrate the life of Adam Petty on RPM tonight. Hi, everybody. Glad to have you with us on RPM tonight. I'm Reese Davis. Old men go to death, but death comes to young men. One seems natural, the other inexplicable. Barely 5 weeks after burying Petty patriarch Lee Petty at the age of 86, racing's first family is trying to cope with the loss of 19-year-old Adam. Adam Petty will be laid to rest Monday following a private funeral at High Point University in North Carolina. Family, friends, relatives, and members of the NASCAR community will gather to pay their respects to Petty, who was killed in a practice crash at New Hampshire International Speedway on Friday. Though no grief matches the profound sorrow of the Pettys over the loss of a son, a grandson, and a brother, the outpouring of emotion over Adam's death from fans and people in his home community illustrate the words of Samuel Johnson. It matters not how a man dies, but how he lives. And how Adam Petty lived touched many lives. His smile was infectious. It was his trademark, and it lit up a room. He was cut from the cloth of a king, a boy prince, poised to carry his family's legacy and carry on the family business, just as his father did, and his father before him, and his father before him. Before tragedy intruded, that business appeared to be in good hands. No name is more synonymous with stock car racing than Petty.
Coming to the tri-oval down the line,
it's Richard Petty by a foot. Petty wins his 200th career NASCAR victory.
Lee, Richard, and Kyle have combined for 263 Winston Cup wins and have been prominent in NASCAR for over half a century. So it was only natural for Adam Petty to become the fourth generation of Pettys to make the racetrack their life's work. Adam's early racing career took him from the go-karts to late models before making his ASA debut in 1998. Just his 10th ASA start at age 17, Adam became the youngest driver to win at that level, stripping that title away from Mark Martin. Petty's star continued to rise, winning at Charlotte in his first ARCA Series start, surpassing his father Kyle as the youngest ARCA Superspeedway winner at the age of 18 years and 3 months. In 1999, Petty ran his first full Busch Series schedule, finished 20th in the driver points and 3rd in the run for Rookie of the Year. The next step was Winston Cup, but that stage had hardly begun. Adam had made one start at Texas, and he planned to make 4 more this year before making the full-time jump to Winston Cup in 2001.
10 years ago, I was just a kid in middle school, racing go-karts. Everything's happened very fast, but I'm really looking forward to it.
We were looking forward to it as well. In Adam's short career, 2 shining moments. One came in ASA, the other in ARCA. He won his first career ARCA start in 1998 and earned an ASA win earlier that year. He became the youngest driver to win on both circuits. He made 43 Busch starts, 2 truck starts, and his only Winston Cup start came in Texas earlier this year. Joining us now from Charlotte is RPM Tonight's Matt Yoakum. And Matt, we know that a tragedy like this is something that can always happen in racing, yet any time it strikes, you can just never prepare yourself for the shock.
Reese, for about the past 48 hours, I think everyone involved in a NASCAR racing family has experienced just about every emotion ranging from shock to disbelief, anger, frustration, and then I think you finally settle on sadness. Sadness over what we've lost with Adam Petty. Here's a young man who had tons of potential in becoming a great race car driver, but he didn't have any potential in becoming a great person because Adam Petty already was a great person. He had humility, he had humor, and he cared for people. Traits that he inherited from his father and mother, Kyle and Patty Petty. And really, I think that we should be indebted to both Patty and Kyle for the fact that they shared Adam with us for the past 19 years where we had great moments and lasting memories of what a fine young man he truly was, with that smile and just his humor and just the guy that he really was.
And Matt, is it that demeanor? It seems to me that while the garage area has rallied around tragedy before, that this one really seems to have struck at the heart of NASCAR.
Well, when I heard about it, Reese, I really reminded myself of when I heard about Davey Allison, Clifford Allison, Alan Kawicki. It's really a shock, and when something like this happens, the entire NASCAR family really rallies around each other. And I think we saw that Friday when the news spread about just what had happened to Adam Petty up in New Hampshire. But I think the biggest question that once you hear about something like this is really what happened. And that was the big question, both in New Hampshire, Memphis, and here in Charlotte.
All of a sudden, when you look at people, you saw disbelief on their face. People did not want to talk. They just wanted to have their own private thoughts because they all realized this is the business that we do. This is the business that all those guys down there, that's the one they've chosen. And all of a sudden, the reality sets in that this is a very tough business.
Your first question is, you know, what happened? I mean, how did it happen? But, you know, it's just a shame. I mean, things like this can happen in racing no matter what kind of car you're in. It's just, it's a shame when it happens to anybody, let alone somebody that had the personality that he had and his family has. So, you know, it's just, after you find out why you find out it really doesn't matter why or how it happened. It's just the fact that it happens is bad enough.
Carla and I, my wife and I, you know, lost a child, and I know exactly what they're going through. There's going to be a lot of people that tell them that they know what's happening, but they don't. And it's actually the most devastating moment they'll ever have. And, you know, Adam was a great kid. He really was. As an individual, forget the racing side of it. He had a tremendous talent in the race world, but he was a good kid. This past week, matter of fact, Carla and Lindsay, my daughter, spent some time with him up there as they come back from their motorcycle ride, you know, and talked to Lindsay a little while ago, and she's just heartbroken over it. And, you know, Patty and Kyle and the whole family, you know, our hearts and prayers are with you because it's a tough time right now.
Now, my grandfather was a World War II veteran. He told me before he died that the toughest thing that he ever had to do in his entire lifetime was burying a child. And I think Monday, when we lay Adam Petty to rest, that will be the toughest day that both Kyle and Patty will ever have to face. Reese?
And Matt, certainly those of us in the media want to express our condolences and give the family their space. And it's a difficult situation, but what do you hear from the Petty family? How are they holding up?
Well, Reese, I've talked to several friends who have visited the home. They say Patty is holding up as best it can be expected over losing a son, and Kyle is showing that true Petty trademark of when there are tough times, you rise to the occasion. He's been very strong, but I think this is something that's very tough on the entire family. You know, besides Kyle and Patty, there's Richard, who is very close to Adam, and then the other children, Montgomery Lee and Austin, who are holding up very strong, but still, this is a very tough deal because they were a close-knit family.
I know in the past you spent a lot of time with the family. What will you take with you? What will be your lasting memory of Adam?
I think the lasting memory that I will have of Adam is really that smile. No matter what the situation, he always had that trademark Petty smile with 9,000 white teeth glaring back at you, laughing over something. He was a guy that he could deal with and be friends with someone who was the CEO of a Fortune 500 company or the guy who was waiting at the back gate for an autograph. He treated everyone the same, and I think that's pretty much why everyone loved Adam Petty. He had that trademark Petty ingredients of always caring, doing charity, philanthropy work, visiting children's hospitals like on the Kyle Petty charity ride, but really he treated everyone the same. He had a lot of humor, and really that's the one thing that I'm going to remember most about Adam Petty is that smile.
I think
Reese?
most of us will, Matt. Thanks a lot for being with us.
Okay.
All right, Matt Yoakum joining us from Charlotte. As Matt alluded to, family ties are strong in the Petty family. Adam said his dad was his best friend and listed his heroes as Richard and Kyle Petty. But there's a bond with a mother that's really like none other, and Adam Petty shared that with his mother, Patty, a mother who believed her husband and son would someday race.
Somehow in my mind, I just, you know, I always knew that they would end up racing each other, and that was Adam's ultimate goal, and I think it was Kyle's ultimate goal for Adam because he knew Adam was so dedicated and that's what he wanted to do.
A little bit later on, we will hear more from Patty Petty, Adam's mother, and explore how the family bonds helped shape and mold Adam Petty. If the confidence, the ego a racer needs to drive doesn't already make him feel invincible, then certainly the high-tech roll cages does. After all, Jeffrey Bodine's ride at Daytona disintegrated and he came away relatively unscathed. How many other blinding speed wrecks have turned your stomach and dropped your heart and then the driver just emerges and waves? Thankfully, the inherent danger is rarely realized these days, but drivers know it always looms in the next turn. Speed, control, power. The words that define the sport too often are the ones that decide lives, as is the case with Adam Petty. The 19-year-old became the first Petty to die in a racing accident, but unfortunately not the first death suffered by a racing-rich family. Before Petty, the last NASCAR driver to lose his life on the track was John Nemechek. The younger brother of Winston Cup driver Joe Nemechek was killed during a Truck Series race at Homestead in 1997. 5 years earlier, 27-year-old Clifford Allison, the youngest son of Winston Cup champion Bobby Allison, died when his car hit the wall during a practice at Michigan Speedway. 1 year later, Clifford's brother Davey, a budding superstar on the Winston Cup circuit, was killed in a helicopter crash. Open wheel racing has suffered its share of tragedy too. Last October in California, 24-year-old Greg Moore was killed when he lost control of his car during a race in Fontana. Much like Petty, Moore was considered to be a driver who could carry his circuit into the new millennium. While many drivers have lost their lives doing what they love before getting a chance to reach their full potential, Ayrton Senna perished during the prime of his career. A legend in Brazil, Senna, a three-time Formula One world champion, completed his all-too-brief career at the age of 34 with a record 65 poles and 41 wins, second on the all-time list. The record books will never tell the full story of Adam Petty. He lost his life doing what he loved, but his impact on the sport will not soon be forgotten. Adam Petty commanded the respect of his fellow drivers as a competitor, but perhaps more importantly, he earned their respect as a person. Friends and family and friendly rivals remember Petty a little bit later on in the show. Also ahead, Petty's fellow Busch drivers join their cars with a tribute, and we'll have more on a career that never really got a chance to blossom.
Walking up behind Rusty Wallace and beside my father, you get up there and you realize, you know, this is the big time. These are your guys that you grew up wanting to be like.
RPM Tonight is brought to you by Daytona USA, the official attraction of NASCAR.
It seems that when someone dies, those left behind find some comfort in carrying on tasks just as the departed person would have wanted. It's not offered as a criticism, merely as reality. If there was another choice, one that would comfort or heal, it would likely be taken, but sadly, there is no other choice. So the Busch race went on in Loudon on Saturday without Adam Petty and body, but certainly his spirit was most evident. Fans, racing family, fellow drivers all honoring Adam Petty, stickers on the cars, flags flying at half-staff. A couple laps to go in the race. Casey Atwood and Steve Park were battling for the lead. Atwood and Park get a little squirrely, and Tim Fedewa would take advantage. Tim Fedewa would take the lead. He led 116 of the 200 laps, and Tim Fedewa would go on to win the race, his first since July of 1998. And afterwards, Fedewa dedicated the win to Adam Petty and spoke with us on RPM Tonight.
You know, I'm a third-generation driver. I watched my grandfather race a little bit, and I watched my dad, my uncle, and my cousin race, and he's done that. I mean, he's grown up around racetracks. A little different than when I grew up. You know, I grew up on the short tracks in the Midwest, but he was always in the limelight, and the pressure on him was immense. It's tough on me, but I can only imagine what it would be like to be in the Petty family. And, you know, he carried himself so well that he had every reason to be a spoiled rotten brat, a rich kid growing up, had everything he could ever want, but never once, I repeat, did he act like that. His family values, his mom, I just feel so bad for them right now, and I'm praying for them, like everybody here and everybody in the NASCAR community is, Reese. It's a loss that has no reason, and searching hard to find it.
Certainly, Tim Fedewa's words are perfectly spoken. In addition to the words from the NASCAR family, email condolences to the Petty family, pushing 10,000. Still to come here on RPM Tonight. Adam Petty never really seemed more comfortable than when he was at a racetrack or with his family. How a mother's love helped shape his career. And we'll also go into the business of racing. Check out the kart race in Japan. Michael Andretti vying for a victory. We're back after this. Kart guys in Japan over the weekend. Late Friday night, Michael Andretti is in a hurry, and for good reason. He had some problems with his engine. The crew had to race against the clock to solve the problem, but the rain came, pushed the race back a day, so Andretti's crew set their sights on not just giving him a competitive car, but a winning car. He certainly improved it. Race going on Saturday after the rain, and the Target Chip Ganassi team and their Toyotas, they were dominating. Juan Montoya, Jimmy Vasser running first and second. Seemed as if victory was in hand. 77 laps to go. Vasser a strong second, less than a second behind his teammate. But 3 laps later, Jimmy Vassar to the garage. Engine problems knocked him out of contention. But Montoya's still up front, blowing past the field much of the day. But 172 of the first 175 laps. This is Martin Blundell. He brushes the wall, brings out a caution. So now it is strategy time for the leaders. Montoya to the pits for one final stop. Moments later, Montoya's crew, it would send him back out, still leading the race. But only a couple of laps later, back into the pits. Damaged valve, they got the thing squared away, but he fell way off the lead. Thus, Michael Andretti was the beneficiary. Drives right through the smoke left behind from Tony Kanaan when he blew an engine. The ensuing caution kept Andretti leading with 4 laps to go. On the final lap, Andretti still out front. He was holding off Dario Franchitti, and he did just that. Michael Andretti wins at Twin Ring Motegi, the 39th win of his glorious career. First of the season, Franchitti gave him a great run, only a half-second back. Look at Roberto Moreno again with a fine finish, comes home third. Montoya finishes just off our panel in 7th place. As I mentioned, he led all but 3 of the first 175 laps, but his bad luck was certainly the break that Andretti needed.
The car was really good. The Kmart Texaco guys did a great job in the pits, and the Ford engine was perfect out there. So, you know, it was just one of those days that everything went right. I mean, the Target or the Ganassi guys were pretty tough today, but, you know, luck went our way for once.
He's clever. I just said to him, you know what you're doing. You know, he's clever where he positions the car. The Honda engine was very strong today. I mean, I'm so happy the progress they've made. And, you know, the start of the year, we're struggling a bit. They've really got it strong now. And if I hadn't mucked up that restart, I think it could have been ours.
I think, you know, our spare car would have been okay, but you just don't want to take that chance. You know, I have a lot of confidence in the Kmart Texaco guys that they would have given me the same car, but we just thought we wouldn't push it.
Okay, as a result, the points go like this now. Paul Tracy stretches his lead to 14 over Vassar and Moreno. Pappas and D'Amata tied for 4th. They are 31 points behind. Adrian Fernandez had been going for a three-peat, 3 wins in Japan. Didn't happen. He came home 10th. He is sitting in 6th place. Still to come on RPM tonight, more on the loss of Adam Petty, the family bonds that helped him along in his relationship with his mother and his father. That's coming up.
You did a great job missing that wreck down there in 4th. They just run all over each other in front of you, didn't they?
I didn't have nowhere to go.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't. Just take it easy. You're doing good. You'll be okay. When you go back out there, just be careful. All you got to do is finish and get some points. That's the main thing. You're doing a great, great job, man. Hey, that happens, man. That's part of racing. I mean, there ain't nothing you can do about it.
I was impressed. I'll put it this way. I thought he handled himself good. He didn't get frustrated with it and stuff like that. And that's what you got to learn in running races, especially long races. You got to be patient and wait for it to happen.
We didn't melt and run out of it, did you? You did good, man.
Certainly Adam Petty was learning well, and perhaps no time is worse than any other to suffer a loss of the magnitude of the Pettys. But it's cruel irony that Adam's death comes on Mother's Day weekend. Just a few weeks ago, Bill Weber talked with Adam and his mother Patty about his dreams, how she encouraged them, and the Petty family bond.
Certain people are going to expect you to live up to what your grandfather did or what your dad's done or what your great-grandfather's done. But I think that pressure would be different if my grandfather and my father put pressure on me. They don't put pressure on me at all. Just go out and do the best you can week in and week out. Continue to learn. When you stop learning, something's wrong. You know, you just got to go out and take that race as it comes and do your best. You know, I've got the best situation in the world. If I have a bad day on Saturday, I just have to go talk to my father on Sunday or father on Monday. And the way my dad is, I could finish 38 and just tore the car all to pieces, and he's going to find something good about it that I learned out of that day, and that's the good thing about having my dad, especially with the heart he has as a boss. He's a great race car driver, but he's a good dad and he's a good boss, too.
I think it is different when it's your son, and I hope so much on Saturday for Adam to do good, but for Kyle, too, because he's put so much effort and wants Adam to do well. So much, even more so than himself. He puts Adam lots more in front of his own efforts. That's one thing I think that most wives you'll ask, and as a mother too, you really don't think about that going into any race. I think the Lord really gives me a peace for some reason. I guess he knows I couldn't take it if I really looked at it too closely. I've always prayed and asked the Lord to take care of my kids and take care of Kyle. And I think it's easier for me to watch Adam than it is for Kyle, because all I've ever done is watch. I noticed in Daytona, Kyle wasn't doing ESPN, so he was with me during the Busch race, and when the wreck happened, he just lost it. And he couldn't get to the infield care center quick enough. He couldn't hear from Adam quick enough. And it's simply because he's never been in that position to watch. And for 21 years, I've had to just watch and hear Kyle on the radio or not hear him on the radio, and wait and hope and pray that he was all right.
Me and my mom have always been real close. Me and my dad are really, really close now because I'm in the same situation he is. We're best friends, and that's the way we look at it. Father and son, Monday to Wednesday, best friends. I can tell him anything. I'll lay in his bus till 11:30 at night talking about stuff, and we can talk about anything in the world. And you know, still to this day, we meet in Mom and Dad's room every night to say prayers and give them a kiss before we go to bed. But we're a close-knit family. We all get along very, very good.
There's an African proverb that says a mother's love is like the tree of life, strong in spirit, peaceful, wise, and beautiful, and certainly Adam Petty had that. He narrowly missed achieving his dream of racing against his father. Adam made the race at Texas. Kyle, who hadn't qualified, jumped into a car as a relief driver, but just laps after Adam had to leave the race with mechanical problems. Stay with us. Our tribute to Adam Petty continues after this.
RPM Tonight is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Go.com.
Gearing Up is brought to you by Toyota. Every day belongs to you. Make it count. Toyota, every day.
Gearing up for next week, Cup guys at the Winston, Terry Labonte, the defending champion, IRL, and a couple of kart interlopers. Whole day at the Indy 500 on Saturday as well. Outlaws in Hagerstown, Maryland. The trucks go to Pikes Peak. The hot rods move into Englishtown, where Joe Amato has ruled Top Fuel, and Michael Schumacher takes his Drivers' Championship lead to his home country in Germany. Well, you know, nobody truly enjoys doing a show like this, and we wish we'd never had to do it. And we certainly don't have the right words to express our sorrow for the loss of Adam Petty, but our hearts and prayers are with his family. We leave you with memories of Adam Petty.